AITA for exposing my best friend's sister's pregnancy trap when I've never slept with anyone. My best friend's sister is telling everyone that she is pregnant with my child. I am talking about my parents, her brother, and I have never even laid a hand on this girl. She has a massive crush on me and is upset because I am not interested in her, so she is making up this lie. Well, when the baby is born in a few months, I will get a paternity test and prove everyone wrong. As for my parents, they have turned their backs on me for the past 3 days. The only time they speak to me is to yell at me and demand that I confess to what I am being accused of, but I refuse to do so because, well, I did not do it. I am sure some of you reading this are thinking, what in the world is going on? Well, let me explain a bit. I have always been a good son. As an only child, my parents doted on me and always made me feel loved. They never had to worry about me getting into trouble because I was always a good kid. I got good grades. I never fooled around. I did not get into fights. None of that. Like I said, I was a good kid, and even when I became a teenager, I did not rebel and I never disrespected my parents. I have always been as respectful as I could be. That is why, when they did not believe me after being accused of something so serious, I was shocked. I had never given them a reason not to believe me. Ever since I started school, I have always worked hard to get good grades. My parents make a comfortable living and can afford to help with my college tuition, but they said they would not make that investment in my education unless I held up my end of the bargain and got good grades. I took that seriously because, even with scholarships, I was going to need their help to cover certain costs. Since I spent so much time studying, I did not go out much and I did not make friends easily. Fortunately, I had a best friend who was just like me, Michael. Michael lived 2 blocks away from my childhood home. We met when his family moved to our neighborhood. He was about 8 years old. We have been best friends ever since. We were inseparable, and at school, we were always together. Outside of school, we would have sleepovers at each other's houses. It was like we were part of each other's family. Michael was the best friend you could ask for. He also had a sister, Sophia, who is 2 years younger than us. She is 16, and since we are set to graduate in less than 3 months, we did not spend a lot of time with her, but she was always a nice girl. She was never rude to me, and there were times when I thought she liked me, but I always brushed it off because I did not see her that way. To me, she is like a little sister. It would be weird to see her any other way, and I simply did not think about her romantically. Besides, I usually did not place much importance on romantic relationships. School was the most important thing to me. It was what would guarantee me a good career. It is not like I did not have crushes, of course I did, but I did not dwell on them. It never went beyond that stage. I think in my entire life, I have only been on a handful of dates. My longest relationship lasted about a month. It was during my junior year with a girl from my chemistry class, Jessica. We had a little thing going, but it fizzled out after a few weeks. Looking back, I remember Sophia seemed a bit jealous at the time. Whenever I mentioned that I was seeing Jessica, she would glare at us and mutter something under her breath. Whenever I asked her what was wrong, she would just shrug and say it did not matter. I guess it was a classic trope, having a crush on your older brother's best friend. How Sophia felt about me did not matter. I saw her as a sister, and if she ever confessed her feelings to me, I had decided that I would respectfully turn her down. That simply was not a relationship I wanted, but she never said anything. She even started dating other guys, something Michael would playfully tease her about, like an older brother would. I am an only child, so I do not really know how that dynamic works. Then, everything turned into a complete disaster. It happened so fast that I had no warning. I was walking home from school at my usual time. Michael stayed after school for a robotics club meeting, so we decided to hang out the next day. When I got home, I was surprised to see not only my parents sitting in the living room, but also Michael and Sophia's parents. They were sitting across from my parents with grim expressions on their faces. It was so strange. They looked like they had something serious to tell me. What is going on? I asked. I really wanted to turn around and leave. There was no way I wanted to know what they had to say, but eventually, I had to go inside. When I sat down next to my parents, they told me that they knew the truth. Sophia had come over earlier to tell them she was pregnant. The most shocking part? Apparently, I am the father. You know that is a complete and absolute lie. I have never been with anyone, let alone Sophia. I did not want to discuss it publicly, but I am a virgin. How could I have gotten her pregnant if I have never had that kind of relationship with anyone? I told them it simply was not true. There is no way I am the father, because we never had that kind of interaction. Plus, I do not have any feelings for her in that way. She is a great girl, but I do not see her like that. Their expressions made me realize that they did not believe me. My heart sank because it made no sense. How could my own parents not believe me? I kept telling them over and over that I did not do it. Honestly, it is embarrassing to say all this out loud, but I needed to make them understand that I am not the father. My dad told me I needed to tell the truth. He said they knew I was responsible for Sophia's situation because she would not lie about something so serious. I told them that I knew she had a crush on me and that maybe that is why she said I did it. But it is not true. There is absolutely no chance that I am the father of this child. Then, her parents started talking. They said they knew I had taken advantage of her. According to Sophia, when she told me she was pregnant, I decided I wanted nothing to do with her. They were calling me an irresponsible person, but how could I be if it is not my child? It is pure madness. I kept telling them she was lying. All they have to do is get a paternity test, and they will see the truth. My mom yelled at me, telling me I needed to step up and take responsibility like a man, and Sophia's parents yelled that it was the least I could do after what happened to their daughter. Nothing I said got through to them. None of the four of them listened to me, so I told them one more time that this child is not mine. If I ever caused a situation like this, I would not abandon the person or deny my role. Having a child at my age is not something I would want, but if it happened, I would not run away from my responsibilities. Of course, they kept yelling at me, telling me to be a man and confess, but I refused. I was not going to admit to something that simply was not true. Finally, Sophia's parents left, and I was alone with my parents. My mom yelled at me to go to my room. She said she could not even look at me right now and that I had deeply disappointed her. After that argument, I did not leave my room. I just stayed in there until late at night. When I was sure they were asleep, I went downstairs to grab some food and went right back to my room. That is how I have been living for the past 3 days. When I leave for school, I rush out of the house. I try to avoid my parents as much as possible, which is not hard because they are avoiding me too. I eat all my meals in my room and keep to myself. It is horrible being ignored by my parents like this. I do not understand why they are doing this to me. You would think they would want to support their son no matter what, right? But no, they do not want to support me. They want to turn against me. If anyone has any advice on how to handle this, I beg you, please let me know. I am at a loss and I want to talk to my parents. But what if they keep ignoring me? There has to be a way to prove that I am telling the truth. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment. Update 1. Mom and Dad decided I had to move out. It has only been 3 days since I last posted, and I was planning to wait a bit to read all the advice, but then my parents came to talk to me the day after my post. They came to my door and told me I had to leave unless I confessed to what I had done. Basically, they said they would not let me stay in their house. They apparently do not want a liar under their roof, because they did not raise me that way. I reminded them that they did not raise a liar. I am not lying, and I begged them not to kick me out because I am telling the truth. I even asked them to give me a chance to prove it, but they would not listen. They told me to pack my bags, leave, and not come back until I was ready to admit the truth and act like a man. So, I packed a duffel bag and called my Aunt Carol, who lives in the same town, about a 5-minute drive away. She was shocked to hear what had happened and could not believe my parents had done this to me. Fortunately, she came to pick me up right away. She told me I could stay at her place, and once I was settled in, I heard her on the phone with my parents, giving them a piece of her mind. I mean, she really laid into them. She told them they should believe me and that if they were not sure, they could wait until the baby was born to get a paternity test. In the meantime, she said they should be supporting me. Honestly, it is hard to believe my parents kicked me out. I knew they were angry, but I thought they would eventually realize they could trust me. I never gave them a reason to doubt me. It is wrong that they believe Sophia over their own son. I will be graduating in less than 3 months, and now I am practically without a home, although it does not really feel like it since I am staying with my aunt. She has been amazing and told me I could stay as long as I needed, but she will keep trying to reason with my parents. I appreciate her trying, but I do not think it will change anything. If they do not believe me, why would they believe her? For now, I am just focusing on finishing school. College is still the goal, but at this rate, I do not think my parents will help pay for it. I will figure something out. At the moment, I do not really need advice, But if you want to send some words of encouragement or leave a comment, it would mean a lot to me. I'm just trying to keep my head down, finish school, and move on. Thank you all for your support. Update 2. At school, I was confronted by Sophia's friends. My parents kicked me out 3 weeks ago, and I am living with my aunt, just trying to get through each day. It is not easy because I want to go home, to my room, to my parents. They have always been decent people, and I do not understand why they changed so suddenly. When I asked my aunt, she said she had no idea, but she reassures me, saying everything will be all right. She told me she would help me with college, but I told her no. I do not want her spending her money on me. At school, things are very strange. Sophia keeps spreading rumors, saying I was involved in her situation, and I keep denying it, but people are divided. Michael is ignoring me. The only thing he said was that he is torn between the two of us, but that he has to ignore me because his parents would disown him. I cannot believe my best friend is doing this to me, but I guess it makes sense that his loyalty lies with his sister. It is natural to want to be loyal to your own family, something my parents do not seem to understand since they betrayed me, refusing to believe me. Things got worse at school the other day. As I was about to leave and walk to my aunt's house, 3 of Sophia's friends blocked my path, 2 guys and a girl. I am not weak, but they took me by surprise. Plus, 3 against 1 is not a fair situation. As a result, I was injured. I reported it to the principal at my aunt's insistence. As soon as she saw my condition when I got home, she said she would make sure those kids got in trouble, but honestly, I did not want to file a police report. All I wanted was to forget it ever happened. The principal suggested that my presence at school was escalating the situation because of the rumors about Sophia, so it might be better if I finish my diploma through the district's online program. I am so tired of all this, so I told him yes. I just could not deal with it anymore, so I decided to finish high school from home. My aunt supports me, and it seems to be the best option. I still have not heard from my parents. My aunt keeps trying to talk to them, but I told her to stop. She is wasting her time. Until the baby is born and a paternity test is done, they will not believe me. I do not know how I will feel about my parents by then. I doubt I will be able to forgive them. The longer this goes on, the angrier I get. If they had reached out and apologized, maybe I would have forgiven them. But now, I do not think that is possible. I think that ship has sailed. Update 3. It has been 6 months since my last update, and I apologize for not sharing news sooner, but I have been busy. First, I was trying to finish my high school coursework and get my diploma after switching to online classes. I also applied to colleges to see which ones would accept me. I was accepted into a local 4-year university and even got a partial scholarship. I am going to live with my aunt and pay for some expenses with the part-time job I found at a local diner. I am starting the semester a little late because I wanted to save up as much money as possible. It is important to me that my aunt does not have to pay for me. She has already done so much. But, wow, I have huge news. The baby that Sophia claimed was mine has been born, and it turns out the baby is of Asian descent. He is not white like me. I cannot even describe the mix of emotions I felt when I heard that. Relief, vindication, frustration, it was all there. My aunt and I had a good laugh about it afterward. But overall, the situation was just ridiculous. And my parents, well, they finally contacted me after the baby was born. They were full of remorse, but honestly, it was too little, too late. I have been angry for so long, and even though it feels good to be cleared, the hurt is still there. It is going to take time to process all this. On the other hand, Sophia has not said much, and neither have her parents. Michael has not reached out to me either, and I do not think he will. This whole situation with him still affects me, and I do not know if we will ever be friends again. For now, I am focusing on the future. I am about to start college, I have a job, and I am working on building my future. I have learned a lot from all this, mainly about standing up for myself and trusting my gut, even when the people around me do not believe me. Thank you all for your support during this crazy journey. I will try to keep you updated if anything major happens, but for now, I am focusing on the next chapter of my life. Update 4. Now that my studies are going well, I have some big news to share. Sophia gave birth a few days ago, and, as you already know, the baby is of Asian descent. There is absolutely no way I am the father because, well, I am white. My parents are white. Now, it is clear that whoever Sophia was with is Asian, and that is that. Since the baby was born, my parents have been trying to get back in touch to apologize. I ignored their calls and texts, but they finally showed up at my aunt's house, begging to talk to me. My aunt told them to leave, saying they had a lot of nerve showing up after everything that happened. I thank her for doing that because, honestly, I was not ready to face them. Eventually, I agreed to meet them at a local park. I wanted to be in a neutral place where I would not feel pressured. When they arrived, they immediately started apologizing, saying they regretted everything and wanted me to come home. Then, they pulled out a check and handed it to me. This check was meant to help pay for the rest of my college education. I asked if I had to move back in with them to keep the check, and they said no, I did not have to. All they wanted was for me to visit them more often and maintain a relationship with them. I took the check, but I have not done anything with it yet. It is just sitting in my desk drawer. My parents keep asking me if I have deposited it, and I always tell them no. For now, this semester is already paid for, so I just held on to it. So here is my dilemma. I do not know what to do. I am not going to forgive them for what they did, at least not anytime soon. But I also know that if I tell them I am not going to maintain a relationship with them, they will probably cancel the check. A part of me thinks they are only doing this to get something from me, not because they genuinely want to make amends. If you have any suggestions on what I should do, please leave a comment below. I am a little lost right now. I do not trust them and I do not want to give them another chance. They are hypocrites, and it is clear they are trying to fix their mistake now because it is convenient for them. So yes, any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again for supporting me through this whole ordeal, and I look forward to reading your comments. Update 5. My parents wanted me to come home, but I accepted their check as a way to cut all contact. My parents invited me to dinner, and I agreed to go, but before that happened, my aunt told me she heard through a family member that my dad had been diagnosed with a serious illness. Eventually, he will have to stay home and will need help. My aunt also heard that my parents were planning to ask me to move back in with them and that if I refused, they would cancel the check they gave me. Since I already had this information, I decided to deposit the check a few days before the dinner. The check cleared without any issues, and it was clearly marked gift in the memo line, so I would not have any legal trouble. My parents would not know I had deposited it before I arrived at their house for dinner, and by then, it would be too late to threaten me. When I got to the dinner, everything seemed fine at first. Then, my parents mentioned my dad's health issues and asked if I wanted to move back home to help them. I reminded them of what they said at the park, that they would not force me to come back if I did not want to. Then, they brought up the check, saying that if I did not move back, I would have to give the money back. At that point, I laughed and told them, "Oh no, the check has already been deposited and cleared. The money is in my bank account." My mom started crying and threatened to report me for fraud, but I calmly reminded her that they had written the check as a gift, with a note in the memo line. I also had proof in our text messages where they clearly stated the money was a gift. Then, they tried to make me feel guilty, saying it was cruel to abandon family in a time of need, but I reminded them that they had done the exact same thing to me when they refused to believe my side of the story about Sophia's baby. They kicked me out and refused to listen to me, so I have zero sympathy for their situation now. The last thing I said before leaving the house was that I wanted nothing to do with them anymore. From now on, I am cutting all contact with my mom and dad. We will no longer have a relationship. It hurts me that my dad is sick, but it is clear they only want me because something difficult happened and they need someone to take care of him. Well, I am not that person. Do not worry about me. I did not fall for their manipulation. I left the house without letting them sway me. When I got back to my aunt's house, I told her everything that had happened. She agreed that it was unbelievable my parents would stoop to that level of emotional manipulation. So, that is where we are now. My parents and I have officially cut all contact, and I am going to focus on my studies and my job. If my parents had believed me from the beginning, none of this would have happened, but it is too late for that now. Update 6. Well, I am back with an update because I have made some decisions. After everything that happened, I finally decided to sue Sophia. Honestly, this is not something I initially planned to do. After finishing high school, all I wanted was to turn the page and focus on my main priority, which is my education. But things changed, and after speaking with my aunt's lawyer friend, I realized that not only did I have a solid case, but I also had the right to seek justice. The lawyer, a close friend of my aunt, explained that I could sue Sophia for defamation as her lies caused me significant harm. Not only did I have to finish my studies online, missing out on the graduation experience with my classmates, but I also had to deal with constant harassment, not to mention that I was physically harmed because of those rumors. This is not something I can simply ignore or let slide. My life changed drastically over something I never did. At first, when the lawyer brought up the idea of suing Sophia, I was hesitant. I did not want to lose focus on my studies or stray from my goal of finishing my college degree. But after discussing it further with him, he told me that this lawsuit could help me in the long run. If we won the case, I could receive a substantial settlement from Sophia's parents, enough to cover my tuition without needing to work part-time. In fact, it would allow me to fully dedicate myself to my college studies, which has been difficult so far due to financial responsibilities. My aunt also encouraged me. She completely trusts her lawyer friend and assured me he is very competent. It seems he has succeeded in similar cases, and he is confident we can get good compensation for all the damage they caused me. Thinking about it, it is only fair. They destroyed my reputation and my academic life, and I should not have to bear the consequences of their lies. So, after thinking about it for a long time, I decided to go ahead with the lawsuit. I know this decision will create even more drama, but I am used to it by now. What matters now is that justice is served and that Sophia and her parents face the consequences of their actions. Update 7. It has been a long time since my last update, and I can finally tell you how the defamation lawsuit against Sophia went. A verdict was reached, and I am happy to say that everything turned out exactly as my lawyer and I had hoped, even though it was an exhausting journey. The process was much more manageable thanks to the money from my parents, which allowed me to quit my job while the legal proceedings were ongoing, and that significantly lightened the emotional burden. So, despite the complexity of the process, I had the time and energy to focus on both the lawsuit and my studies. And as far as college goes, everything is going incredibly well. It is everything I had imagined and more. I am having an experience that, a few months ago, seemed almost impossible, back when all I wanted was to escape that nightmare. Being able to fully focus on my studies without worrying about finances has allowed me to excel and truly enjoy the process of learning and growing. But I will talk more about that later. Going back to the lawsuit, the first few months were the hardest, not so much because of the legal side, but because of the number of people telling me I should drop it. One of the first people to reach out was Michael, my former best friend. We had not spoken since he cut me out of his life over Sophia's lies. He did not even bother to call me when he saw his sister's baby was clearly not mine, which should have been the first sign that it was all a lie from the start. But now, suddenly, with a lawsuit in motion, he seemed to remember my number. He called to tell me it was not fair to his sister that I was doing this now, because she is a teen mom going through this alone. It turns out the guy who was actually involved does not want to take responsibility for the baby, and they are in a legal dispute with him for child support. I do not know how that will end since he is also a minor, but honestly, that is not my problem. I told Michael that his sister deserved this lawsuit. Sophia kept up with her lies even when she knew it was not my child, and he, as a friend, was never able to defend me or take my side. I reminded him of the incident at school that happened because of his sister's lies and how he did nothing. At least Michael understood my point of view and did not call me back after that conversation. I think that friendship is irreparably broken, and I have no intention of fixing it. I also got a call from Sophia's parents, who I once considered a second family. They, who believed their daughter's lies without asking questions, had accused me of taking advantage of her. I get it, they are her parents, but they did not even give me the benefit of the doubt. They called to ask me to drop the lawsuit, arguing they already had too much to deal with regarding the child support case. I told them I was not going to do that, and that if they wanted to stop all this, they could have done so when Sophia started spreading rumors about me at school. I told them that not only were they failing to be good parents to their daughter, but they also let the situation escalate to this point. I even told them they had failed as parents by letting their 16-year-old daughter end up in this situation. That probably hurt them, but I cannot be sure, because after I said that, I hung up. I did not see the point in continuing the conversation. The last person I expected to hear from was Sophia. She sent me several text messages, begging me not to do this. In the messages, she confessed that she had feelings for me and that all of this happened because I never gave her any attention. According to her, I was always focused on my studies or with other girls, and that made her feel ignored. She claimed she regretted lying, but that she was desperate for me to notice her. I do not know what Sophia was thinking. I do not know if she really believed making all this up would make me fall in love with her, or if she was just trying to get back at me because I did not share her feelings. Either way, even if she got some short-term revenge, she is now facing the consequences of her actions. I did not reply to her messages. I just took screenshots of everything to present as evidence. I did not say anything because I did not want to complicate the legal process, but I blocked her number after saving the evidence. Finally, the lawsuit is over and we won the case. The settlement amount I received is substantial, much more than I expected. It is enough to cover the rest of my education without having to work during college. This allows me to fully dedicate myself to what I truly love and focus on getting the best grades possible. I have even considered the possibility of transferring to a better university now that I can afford it. I always wanted to go to a more prestigious institution, but finances were a hurdle before. To be honest, I never thought I would get to this point. At first, the idea of suing Sophia seemed extreme, but now, seeing the result, I am grateful I made that decision. Not only will the money allow me to achieve my educational goals, but I also finally got the justice I deserved. For so long, I was the victim of lies and manipulation, and people treated me like the bad guy. Now, the truth is out, and I can move on with my life without that burden. Comment. Going through a situation where your truth is denied by the people closest to you is one of the hardest things anyone can face. It takes a lot of courage to stand your ground and protect your own integrity when the world seems to be against you. We all make choices in life, and it is a harsh reality that projecting our insecurities onto others only creates deeper wounds. Sometimes, walking away from toxic environments is not an act of anger, but a necessary step toward deep personal healing. Setting firm boundaries, even with family members, is completely valid when your mental health and future are on the line. Let us remember the profound impact of having just one supportive person in our corner during our darkest moments. True justice is not just about clearing your name, but about reclaiming your life and focusing on the path ahead. I hope this reminds you to always trust your intuition and never let anyone else dictate your worth. You have the power to rebuild your life and find peace, no matter how difficult the journey has been. Thank you for being here with me today, and please remember to be kind to yourselves. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.